So close your look balls with me for a second and imagine. If all the world's English-speaking countries out there united to form one union, what would happen? What would it look like, and what would be the benefits? Would there be any downside to such a unification? You can open your look balls now. It's an exciting idea to try, and by no means unthinkable. By English-speaking countries, we mean the 6 countries where English is both the official and the main language. These are the United Kingdom, the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Ireland. Other countries like South Africa and India use English as their lingua franca, however, it isn't the actual predominant language. On the whole, it's a concept that would most likely be advantageous. Of course, there would be a few issues to resolve. However, the unification of 6 highly developed countries with excellent living standards would clearly benefit all of those concerned. So before we take a little peeksies at the pros and cons, let's just crunch some numbers to get a clearer view of what this unification would really look like. So firstly, population. The combined populations of these countries would be something around 470 million. This would give the English Union the world's 3rd biggest population between India and China. Now, none of this would be new for Americans who already have the 3rd biggest population. However, for people from New Zealand and Ireland, this would be a massive change. Each has a population of roughly 5 million, so to suddenly be a part of something almost 500 million people strong might take some getting used to. Some people might love it, others might be hesitant towards it, preferring their understated role on the world stage. Other countries like Australia and Canada might just welcome this huge influx of people, as both are large countries with relatively low populations. However, they've carefully managed their immigration programs, which are designed to build their populations with skilled workers who can contribute to their growth. While unifying with 5 other nations would certainly allow for population growth, it'll be at the expense of the current diverse stream of immigration from Asia, Europe, and the Middle East. Another important factor would be the GDP of this union and its GDP per capita. Not surprisingly, the English-speaking union would have the world's biggest GDP. Largely on the back of America's $20 trillion output as a unified force for this output, as a unified force, this number would increase to around $25.6 trillion. China and Japan would remain the world's 2nd and 3rd biggest GDPs of $12 and $5 trillion respectively, and the English-speaking union's GDP per capita would average out to 63,000 USD, putting it into the world's top 10 with the likes of Singapore and Denmark. Americans and Australians wouldn't see their rate vary too much, but it would really be a significant boost for the other countries, with the exception of Ireland. Ireland currently has a staggeringly high GDP per capita of $100,000. This is mainly due to its attractive low corporate tax rate, which has lured many of the world's top tech and pharmaceutical firms to set up shop on Irish shores. Either way, citizens of the new union can expect to maintain high living standards with above-average salaries. It's going to be evident in the rich diversity of exports and industries now that these 6 countries are already world leaders in. So let's take a look at the combined major exports from these 6 countries. Australia, Canada, and the United States will provide raw materials like crude oil, natural gas, coal, and iron ore. New Zealand would contribute a fair portion of food products, including meat, poultry, fruit, and veggies. While Ireland and the UK aren't renowned for their natural resources, they do have a fairly highly developed service sector which accounts for a large portion of their GDPs. Finance, IT, pharmaceuticals, and media industries would all contribute to the English-speaking union's GDP. In fact, all of the 6 countries have highly developed service sectors that are a crucial part of their respective economies. Canada and Australia have a very large, lucrative tourism sector and education sector that attract very considerable revenue from overseas. Economically, the English-speaking union would more than likely thrive, and would be very highly innovative in developing crucial new renewable energy sources and products. But how about the overall standard of living? Would this improve? The most important topic to address here concerns healthcare. Every member of this new union has some kind of universal healthcare system except the United States. If the 6 English-speaking nations were to unify, this would be one of the massive advantages for Americans. The new union would have to agree on a healthcare plan that catered to all of its 500 million population. Now, this would mean a universal and publicly funded system that Americans would have full access to. The other 5 countries certainly wouldn't be giving up their current privileges, so something would have to surely be worked out. Even though America might not be able to provide a top-quality, effective healthcare system, it would more than make up for it with one crucial contribution: defense. The United States currently has the world's 3rd largest military personnel of 1.3 million. It's behind only India with 1.4 million and China with 2.1 million. Coupled with the armed forces of Britain, Australia, and Canada in particular, the English-speaking Union would leapfrog India to claim the world's 2nd biggest armed forces with 1.7 million personnel. I can speak. Although the other 5 countries currently share a strong alliance with the United States in terms of defense, the unification would certainly give them a much greater sense of security and peace of mind, which is especially the case given the current tensions in several regions of the world. With a high-performing economy and quality healthcare system in place, the citizens of the English-speaking Union would enjoy the fruits of their unification. People would be able to move from country to country to find their ideal jobs or further their careers. A skilled software engineer in Ireland might struggle for employment in a crowded market. However, the demand for their skills might be highly useful in Australia or Canada, allowing them to take a little waltz overseas. Such an open-door policy would also benefit students and travelers. Visas would be simple to arrange, and suddenly a wealth of study and travel options would become available to citizens of all ages. Now, much of this is already in place. With the exception of the United States, all countries have working and study agreements that allow citizens to pursue careers or studies overseas. So far, so good. Economically, this new union would be somewhat dependent on overseas markets for essential imports like petroleum, cars, high-tech machinery, etc. However, developments in renewable energy sources would certainly lessen the dependency on certain imports, and the electric car market could subsequently become a major new industry. There is, however, one complicated issue which might be difficult to resolve: guns. Specifically, the availability and sale of guns to citizens. While this right has been staunchly defended in the United States, the other 5 countries would undoubtedly be vigorously opposed to such an amendment. In fact, if the American people voted in favor of retaining their right to own firearms, it's unlikely that the proposed English-speaking union would become a reality. Recent polls indicate that just over half of Americans would support a tougher gun law. To sway the others, it might come down to countries like Britain or Australia pointing to their strict gun laws and subsequent lower violent crime rates. A unification of the English-speaking countries isn't unthinkable. Almost all of these countries are already united under the Five Eyes Intelligence Sharing Pact. Only Ireland is excluded. Maybe the final issues to be resolved will be how to spell color and how to pronounce banana. Maybe both is best, who knows?